Joan Derk van der Capellen tot, born in 1741 in Tiel, a Dutch nobleman who played a prominent role in the revolutionary events that preceded the formation of the Batavian Republic, started seriously doubting his sanity one day while putting the finishing touches on a pamphlet he was working on. What he was looking at did not make any sense to him. In fact, it did not look like anything at all to him. What he was looking at was the screen of a computer, and instead of having developed a mental disorder, he found himself in the year 2017. Convinced that the world was in need of a democratic revolution, perhaps now more than ever, he soon went on to carry out his original plan and to spread the revolutionary manuscript he had been working on in the streets of Amsterdam. In anticipation of what he thought would be the inevitable effect on the people around him, which incidentally never came, van der Capellen tot started to spend more and more time on the internet. This digital world, which had first felt alien and beyond understanding, now started to feel natural and promising. Van der Capellen tot soon realized the democratic potential of this new world, and he became fascinated with the idea of decentralized publishing. From social media to search engines and the multitude of blogging platforms he encountered, everyone and everything online seemed to be streamlined in order to have the greatest possible reach. Motivated to share his manifesto with the world, he started posting digital copies online. Inspired by a mimetic theory he had stumbled upon, he started looking at his manifesto as a kind of ideological parasite. In an applied understanding of Darwinism, it would only have to develop the right kind of attributes within the right infosphere in order for it to reproduce. Slowly, van der Capellen tot developed a new understanding of social media as a breeding ground for ideas, a global intellectual petri dish of sorts. Still convinced that his ideas were worth spreading, he one day encountered a video on his RSS feed of a speaker standing in front of 3 big red letters, TED. TED, Technology, Entertainment, Design, an organization purely devoted to spreading ideas. In an instant, he was fascinated. Ideas being made available, accessible to everyone, designed to circulate. Joan Derk van der Capellen tot was determined. He needed to give a TED Talk. He understood the role of TED as a brand intuitively and almost instantaneously. Packaged within slick, beautiful images, the ideas, under the comfortable blanket of TED's visual brand guidelines, became engaging, approachable, and spread like viruses. In his search of a vehicle to allow his ideas to travel across the world, van der Capellen tot started spending his waking moments trying to adapt TED's visual language. His progress was slow and frustrating since he lacked the financial and organizational means, as well as technical skills to produce images of the same quality as TED, and because his efforts had to be shrouded in secrecy due to copyright regulations. But after a while, another thought started to cross his mind. Were these imperfections not signs of a certain urgency? Did they not speak of his idea's intrinsic will to procreate? And were they not at the same time a sign of defiance against what started seeming to him an unfair exercise of control over an idea through the assumed rights of imagery production? The longer he thought about it, the more he realized that these imperfections were merely reflections of the mutations he wanted his ideas to take on in order to evolve further. Mutations that could only come to life through discourse and not through brand regulations. Much like the first people to inhabit cyberspace, he became fascinated with the liberation of information. He started posting digital copies of his manuscript on various image boards and forums, penetrating deeper into the obscure parts of the internet. What he found was an infosphere with complete disregard for aesthetic value, a radically democratic exchange of ideas, embracing mutation and excess, but lacking the shareability and accessibility of a commercial brand. This discourse remained isolated and secluded, its incestuous proliferations rotting from the inside. Obsessed with these polar opposites, regulation and anarchy, he started organizing his entire research in an online forum that he set up himself, a hybrid of the platforms he had encountered along his thought process. An image board talking about TED Talks, talking about image boards. A mutant, a bastard that neither side would agree with. A crooked cathedral built in the middle of an empty bazaar. Ultimately, Joan Derk van der Capellen tot was left only with questions. Is a brand's control over its image a form of fascism? Or does information anarchy ultimately delegitimize truth? What are the differences between an idea worth spreading and an idea that simply spreads? And is one better than the other?